Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new Energy Crew podcast. We're doing this ad hoc at the beautiful Midland International and Space Airport. And I'm standing here with Drew Limbacher, who led a fantastic operator mastermind roundtable last night. And we're going to kind of dive in some key takeaways, kind of what we discussed around the table, and just kind of the experience of it all, right? So Drew Limbacher, real quick, I'm going to do a little introduction right now. We've been friends for, I think we figured out, over 10 years. Last year, after the successful sale of Venture Energy, where he served as COO over the operations over there, obviously COO over operations. Anyway, he led our first topic series roundtable discussion, and it was pretty much, what's the M&A trends look like, and what's kind of the strategy look moving forward, then versus now. And it's very interesting because now we're standing here a year later, and with a new company, and we're actually seeing what we discussed 1 year ago come to actually, it's not come to fruition today, but actually become a little more clear on what we're actually dealing with in this market, in this industry. Drew is now launched with a similar team. I think a lot of the team you worked with over at Venture.
That's right.
A Cedar Creek Energy Partners, where they're actually, right now, they're still, and this is what is such a cool conversation, because right now they're still looking for the deals. I think a lot of people are, but also, if you're looking for someone to perform some contract operating for your group, Venture, I may be wrong about this, but I feel like I'm right, successfully had the best performing wells before you sold Venture 2 years ago. Is it 2 years ago?
That's right. So January of 24 is when we closed.
Yeah. So again, January 24 is close. So yeah, it's been a year. So again, contract operating, in the market for that, in the market for deals, but again, just in the market just to meet people and connect and find out what's going on out there. So Drew, first off, thank you for doing such a great job last night. It was
Thank you for having me.
The topic that he led, and I'm about to pass this off to you, to kind of fill in the blanks. The topic that Drew picked to share around the table is a packed room at Venetia, Midland, the best Italian this side of Mississippi. The topic that we discussed was, I'm drawing a blank right now. Oh, it was scaling smarter.
That's right. And then is the Permian still the place to be?
And the whole concept of this was pretty much right now in this day and age, private operators are operating or being very strategic, very different than, I guess, ways that y'all performed in the past when actually you were approaching deals or operating all that stuff. So that was a great discussion. And obviously, is the Permian still the crown jewel? So let's talk about this real quick. What are some key takeaways that you wanted to bring to the table that you felt we covered last night's discussion?
So last night we started out with our history, which JP just did. And we talked about market trends on asset deals, on mergers, on capital raises, and kind of what's going on in the broader market, and how does that reflect for somebody that's trying to start a company.
Right.
And so one of the asset trend ideals, for example, asset deals have gone up in size every year for the last 5 years. I think in 2024, the average asset deal size is $1.1 billion. God. And so the average asset deals that you're going after that are actually closing and going forward are bigger. They're mostly oil weighted by value. And then they're obviously more PDP heavy. And so bigger deals, probably fewer people going after them. The other thing about asset deals is they're mostly bought by publics. And so I think publics accounted for 75% of most asset acquisitions. I think 90% in 2024. And so if you're a private company and trying to compete, you're competing against publics that can use their stock and other things that make them possibly more competitive than you. And so from there, the point was on fundraising and doing other things, you have to find a niche. Like, where are you competitive?
Right.
So scale and venture made great sense. I mean, great partners made sense in 2020, 2021 when we were starting up, but that same scale may not make sense now. What we found was we weren't as competitive as we used to be on bigger deals.
What do you mean, like you as a team?
Yeah, as a team.
Because the market's changed?
That's right, because the market has changed.
Okay.
So much. There's a lot more public interest, obviously, in the Permian always. Like, it's a hard place to get in.
Yeah.
And so, like, what do you offer? What do you have different that gets you in? And we talked about some different ideas and things we looked at. We have a kind of a contract operating arm that's kind of a different angle to getting in to the Permian, and having a group that's in rigs that are already operating in a specific area to get the company started. We talked about partnering kind of with midstream groups that have H2S expertise and kind of lowering the strike price on certain inventory by going and treating oil H2S in certain areas.
Yep.
We talked about different areas that are out of favor. I think a lot of people have looked south, Midland, south of the Grissom Fault. We had experience there in East Rankin. How do you go after inventory that people haven't looked at in a while, or deeper? We were looking at Wolfcamp D, Barnett, and so we had a lot of different niche ways to get into this, which is not just the traditional, like, oh, just go look at marketed deals only and find your way in. Sometimes it does work.
Do you see this as kind of like? Do you see this as kind of like when you're talking about niches and all that stuff? Niches get riches. Do you talking about like teams that are pretty much specific at something? Are you going to see like pretty much tailored teams to go after, like, I guess, certain, whether it's formations or certain like zones, or maybe kind of structure their things kind of very uniquely than things that have done historically before?
Yeah, that's right. I think that you have to find what is your unique way in. There's some people, one of the groups there has a kind of a unique mineral package, and they kind of use that to develop smaller deals around them. You got to find a way, because there's big guys that were also in the room, and Oxy and Conoco. Those guys, certainly if they want an asset, they're very hard to compete with. Like, they can go in and get it, develop it, they have scale, they have size, and so what do you have different to
Why
offer?
do you think we're seeing fewer teams now, private operator teams now, go after these deals or try to find deals right now?
No, that's a good point. So we just got done, or private equity just got done with a fundraising cycle in 2024.
Okay.
Raised a bunch of money, but also what we just talked about is the average deal size has gone up so much. And so even if there is a decent amount of funds there, which there are, more funds are being allocated to a smaller number of teams to compete for those deal sizes that are bigger.
Right.
It makes you more competitive. And so actually seems to be like a shrinking number of teams going after fewer big deals. There's a lot of that. And so it's not always the same. That's not always true. There's a lot of smaller market kind of PE and fundraising options.
So it seems like, okay, let me ask you a question. With less teams, right, so that would make things a little bit less competitive. But however, now it seems like the deals are bigger, so that enters the public market. So the competition's still there.
That's right. Competition's still there. And then a lot of it, I think there's a hope, or maybe an anticipation, that after all these publics have kind of merged and done different things in the Permian, they'll do portfolio reconciliation and do other basins and kind of get out of them in a big way and create opportunities. And so I think there's a lot of waiting on the sidelines, waiting.
So let me ask you a question. Get your crystal ball out, because this is something that we've talked about, I feel like, for the past 7 months. There's been a lot of teams, a lot of smart teams on the sidelines, right? Trying to get in. We've been talking about, farming in, or, these big companies, shedding some acre. I don't think those conversations are happening yet. At least not to my knowledge, they're happening yet. So when do you think those conversations are going to be more accessible, I guess?
Look, it's a good question. If I'm looking at it from a portfolio, I would think administration-wise, you would want some clarity on that, which we had. So we understand who the president is, what their administration is, what their policy is. You probably need a quarter or two to kind of get your feet underneath you and look at kind of what your portfolio is. And so I'm hoping that the second half of this year, you start to see more opportunities.
Okay. I've heard that. I've heard into 2026.
Again, that's a crystal ball, but
that's all we have is crystal balls. We also discussed, with the new administration, we don't have to touch on this, but one thing that's kind of come into that around the table that people are kind of discussing and focus on is the tariffs on steel. How's that going to affect everything? So that's going to be interesting to watch as well. So what other key points, takeaways did we get around that kind of stuck out to you last night?
Yeah, and so we got off on a few. I like the tariffs idea. Was like, how are you planning your business around the current administration? Do costs go up? And that was relevant if you're looking and building out AFEs,
right? Which
we are. Like, we're constantly building out AFEs and saying, hey, what is our cost to drill a well out here? And so we heard a range of outcomes. I've heard things from, hey, I'm a little worried about OCTG, but I think it's manageable.
Yeah.
There's some higher cost things that come in, but I've also talked to some people on more on the service side, but it is on the service side. And basically in 2022, it feels like we did the same thing where we ramped up and there was this COVID overhang for a long time.
Yes.
And so people did a lot of supply chain cleanup in 2022.
Okay.
And the feedback I got from some side conversations was because we did so much good cleanup in 2022, like we didn't have the same problems, or we don't anticipate the same problems with tariffs as what we would have had otherwise.
Okay.
We diversified our supply chain during that period. We've actually created a good opportunity for ourselves now.
So the spike's going to be more manageable versus...
That is the hope. I think there's still probably single line items that have some potential to go up, depending on kind of how tariffs go. But hopefully the spike is more manageable, and so as you manage your costs. So
we're looking at 2025 right now. All right. What do teams need today? All right, in 2025, that's something new that you think that for them to be successful. What do teams need today? Private operator teams need today that you didn't even think about 5 years ago.
Yeah, everybody, you need a deal, which is what everybody says. But it's the niche. It's like tell me what unique thing you bring, whether it's a relationship with a particular company, an all those the networking things that you always mention. Like, tell me how you're going to get a deal done ahead of all these other people. We have people in basins. We have this. Tell me what you do different.
And where are people finding deals these days? Once it obviously hits the internet, obviously it's too late by then, right? It's trash. But where are people finding deals? Are you finding the most success?
Yeah, it's through relationships. Like, that's it. Like, that's where we.
I'm sorry. What? It's through what?
It's through relationships.
Okay.
We've done a bunch of networking and a bunch of talking to people, and we have a real clear message about what our team is good at and our background and who we are, and we're trying to keep that repeating over core people and groups and try to find ways in. And we find connections. Every once in a while, you do that enough, and we found a connection of, hey, I think I can help you with that. Like, let us help you with that. That's how we've gotten in all the opportunities we've gotten close on. That's how we've gotten them.
I love it. I dig it. All right, so listen, we're about to catch a flight. He's going back to Houston. I'm going to Oklahoma City for another Crew Club Operator Mastermind Round Table. We have Jeremy Entz, the VP of Operations Engineering at Ascent Resources, talking about extreme long laterals. How far should we go, and could we go? I think it's could we go, should we go? I like that. Like, you're about to like go too far. It's like, what have you done? You've gone too far. What have you done? So anyway, I want to thank you so much for leading such a fantastic conversation last night and also a year ago. I wish you and your team obviously success. If you're out there and you're looking for a contract operating team right there, reach out to Drew Limbacher and his team. Great group, obviously great success previously, and they're looking forward to carry that. It sounds to me like this industry is made up of some entrepreneurs, people that will figure it out, and that seems to be in 2025. We are being squeezed, being a little bit uncomfortable for these smaller teams, private operators, to find something new, find a niche, look at deals you've never looked at before in different lenses and different lights, different angles. So I'm kind of excited to see where this goes. It's very unsettling right now because I like the smaller operators, I like private operators. So, but it's me excited to see kind of where those successes happen. So I want to thank you so much, buddy, and let's go, I guess, debrief this and have to wait for the plane to get here and all that stuff. All right.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Energy Crew again. Drew Limbacher, CEO of Cedar Creek Energy Partners, and we look forward to your success, buddy.
Thank you, JP.